Hey ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to a first look at the Smouldering tomb, or more importantly, the boss that resides inside. This is part of the Hildirs request update that's currently on PTB. Just running through the footage that I recorded live the other day, and then I'm going to be showing you some testing with Brenner. Pretty much the mini boss that you'll have to face off against if you want the chest to take to obviously Hildir and get some nice cosmetic rewards and maybe more in the future. Remember, this is all PTB, things will be subject to change. Brenner is obviously going to be residing in these Smouldering tombs. There will be 3 of them on any map, and yes, you will need to find and locate Hildir first, more than likely, before finding them. If you do come across them suddenly on your own, you will get a warning from Hugin telling you that this pretty much dungeon is maybe a bit more tougher than you imagine. Now, all these dungeons have a bunch of other tier 1 or 1-star skeletons, so you might want to try and clear them all out before you go and take him on, in case you do have to kind of have him chase you around the corridors. It can be a bit tight, and I've noticed a few of my hits hitting lots more walls and stuff now and not really doing much damage. So there you go, that's the footage of me first encountering him. Now let's move on to my test footage. As you would imagine, any enemy that has fire damage or a fire weapon does look like it is going to be more weak against cold weapons. So frost arrows could be good, but of course don't forget skeletons are more immune against piercing damage, hence why it's not doing as much. So frost damage you would assume would be great. It's actually the blunt damage that is still the key thing here. You can see the frost damage lingering afterwards, but it's still only doing really tiny amounts. So while you might want to go and get Frostner before maybe taking on some of these dungeons, which is totally viable. Remember, these are meant to be dungeons that you don't necessarily do the moment you come across them on your first playthrough. It might be something that you will revisit. But yeah, you can see lots of yellow numbers from that first hit with Frostner, but then afterwards only slightly white little numbers, although obviously it's not weak against it, of course, since it is a fire creature. Roughly, give or take, when I counted out how many hits, it's about 1200 health for this particular mob. For context, a 2-star skeleton has usually got about 120 health, and a 2-star Ranted Remains has got about 300 health. So switching over to that Iron Mace, and you can see how much more damage I'm going to start doing to it, ignoring the first hit, which is obviously like a stealth attack or first hit bonus. From the 30s up to maybe 50s, and occasionally I've got like one with 60 or 70. It's super easy to dodge and just move out of the way. You really don't have to panic too much. Just get a couple hits in. It seems like its reach could do, I reckon, being extended to make the fight just a little bit harder. But like a lot of mobs, you can kind of cheese with this method of just getting one hit and walking away a little bit, as it takes too long for him to wind up his attack. If you do get caught though, they are pretty formidable. Wearing full armour here, you can see it's like 0.9 to 1 maybe, something along them lines of fire damage per tick. And not that you're going to be completely naked, but 50 fire damage initially that first hit, and then 3.7 for every tick afterwards wearing no armour. And then the sword pound that it does, 13 per tick. So it doesn't actually do a huge amount of damage with just that initial shot, but afterwards that's a big increase per tick. You can actually block all of the attacks though, so that's pretty good. So you can definitely get a chance to stun and parry it if you time it right. And using Frostner's special wind-up attack, then yeah, you seem to push him back quite a bit as well. And I imagine maybe an Atgar might be okay, even if it's not obviously the right damage type. So I mentioned Sledge. I think the Sledge could be good because it obviously is doing a lot more damage around you. But the fact is, it's just pushing away the mob and the enemy, keeping him from setting you alight. And pretty much any time you can wind it up, as long as you've got enough stamina, it's fairly easy with something like this. So if you really want to take this guy on, but you're quite low level, then maybe the Stag Breaker could be something you can do, as long as you can keep up that stamina usage. And of course, you can always run away. Obviously, I'm doing this in my test environment. It's always very different when you're stuck inside a corridor, etc. But that said, yeah, I don't think it's particularly hard. You can always just nip out of the actual dungeon to re-heal if you need to, or get your bearings back and then come back in. So focus on blunt damage like you always do with skeletons. Don't try and get anything with frost damage as much, as it just simply isn't going to do that great. Like, sure, Frostner is going to be good if you've already got it, but I wouldn't go out your way or wait to take one of these guys on until you get it. Obviously, we do have the Frost Mage staff now as well, and you can see that is doing quite a bit of extra frost damage there, and it could obliterate it pretty quickly with all good, nice big yellow numbers. But honestly, by the time you get access to magic in the game, then you're probably going to be strong enough to take this guy on with any of the other weapons I've already mentioned. And of course, if you manage to craft the Fenris armour, then you're going to be all good as well, because that's obviously going to reduce the fire damage, or make sure you've just got some fire potions to hand, fire resistance ones, before taking Brenner on. So obviously handing in the chest to Hildir, and you'll get access to some more colourful dresses and tunics at the cheapest price. It's meant to be the first one that you take on in order. And definitely make sure you keep some of the trophies that you get. It seems to get a guaranteed drop of receiving one of the heads. You never know, it might be useful come the Ashlands for some sort of brand new fire magic, given we need the skeleton heads at the moment to craft and make stuff. As said, things may change. I don't think they're adding any more content, but it does look like there are 4 dresses and 4 tunics missing currently, so you never know, there might be some extra rewards. So I'm not going to go through definitively each dress that you get or each tunic until the update goes live for absolutely everyone. But I can't imagine much is going to change in terms of its weaknesses, resistances, or how it moves and attacks. Hope that's been useful. Check out the rest of my guides on Hildirs Request update, and I'll see you rat bags for more very soon.